why are arisaids not more commonly worn as kilt, or not as commonly worn as kilts? Why
as
are
great kilts?
Yeah, this says kilts, but I think you could say great kilts also. Why are arisaids not as commonly worn as great kilts? I think there's a couple of ways to answer this, but
We've often said in Highland where men tend to be the peacocks versus, almost every other culture. Men tend to be the peacocks in this versus the women who tend to not. So men get the cool stuff. Now, that doesn't mean you can't explore it and have fun with it. Now, we've seen a lot of great kilts sold recently, whether that's for reenactment kind of stuff, whether that's for great kilts worn contemporarily, so to speak, with like a t-shirt and a pair of work boots kind of thing. Mm-hmm. People are kind of playing around with the idea of a great kilt, and women are also playing around with the idea of an Earasaid. So you can play around with it and do both. It's not as popular just because it's fact that it's for us going to sales figures. We're not selling as many as we are to men, but we're seeing an increase in Earasaids at the same rate that we're seeing an increase in great kilts.
Yeah. So I think it's just hasn't caught yet, or it's starting to catch maybe, but it's a different edge of the fashion scene is all it is. You definitely, from a reenactment standpoint, you see plenty of women wearing Earasaids if they're doing like 17th, 18th, or 19th century, Scottish women's attire. But we don't spend all of our weekends at reenactments. So it may be what you're seeing out there on the streets is different from what's happening in terms of sales. Mac?
Can you quickly explain what an Earasaid is? There's some people who are not necessarily understanding what that is.
Earasaid is an island in the South Pacific. It's famous for its rum. Earasaidian rum is delicious. No, an Earasaid is basically it's a great kilt for women. It's it's somewhat less yardage by average.
2.5 yards ish, 3 yards ish.
And it's basically based on the average body size of a female human versus a male human. It was worn very similarly, not on its own, typically.
That's the difference.
Yeah, not on its own. You would have an underskirt, but it would basically be worn as a wrap, often going up as a shawl. Sometimes there's the one style wearing a great kilt where you have it belted, but you bring it up almost like a jacket-like. They would do that. Sometimes they'd have a brooch here, so it would flow out behind, but be gathered at the neck. We can post images or point you towards images of Earasaid options, but it was basically a really big wrap of tartan and plaid, meaning blanket. You have a man's plaid, a women's plaid. The Earasaid is the women's plaid.
Yeah.
So
no, it's fun. You can play with it. I will say in a weird way, it's coming back again. We've been selling an inordinate number of them, and I'm not quite sure why, but I'm not complaining. For either reenactment stuff or for just people who want to wear it and kind of mix historical as well as contemporary in an outfit, and they're just exploring their own heritage and putting their own twist on it. We have a lot of guys wearing t-shirts and combat boots with great kilts just for fun, or a dress shirt with a great kilt for fun, not trying to be historically accurate, just doing something that they want to do.
Yeah.
And women should be able to do that too.
Sure. I think it's basically, we talk about especially with the contemporary clothes with a great kilt. I've often said that it's basically guys are getting interested in this because of it's like that warrior aesthetic. It's primitive. It feels primitive. It feels freeing in some ways. And there's just been more news and more media that's discussed it. Like what's his face, Van Dabidozi, and people of his ilk who are using it for bushcrafting, and realizing, you know what, this thing is brutally simple and really old, but it still works. And it's just fun. You feel, it's another way of feeling like a man and a half. As they say, a kilt makes a man feel like a man and a half, or is a man and a half. Well, same as for ladies. There's nothing that says a woman can't embrace her inner warrior spirit also, or a romantic vision of the past, or feel just less modern, because sometimes it just sucks feeling modern all the time. You don't want to live in a plastic world. You want to live in a real world. Okay, I'm ranting, but it's the whiskey. But that's why. That's why it's getting more popular, I think. Why you're not seeing it yet is because it's just starting to catch on as a trend outside of the reenactment community.
It's the Leatherman tool. It's the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, there's something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I keep one in my car.
Proves it, yeah.
Yeah.
A Great Kilt or a Leatherman?
Both.
Exactly.
Yep. So that's
Hope
basically
that
the
helps.
answer.
Yep.
If you have trouble remembering how to spell the word Earasaid as often as I do, remember, just check the title of the video every single time. You can just leave it as an open tab on your browser. If you want more ideas for ladies' Highland dress, check out these videos over here. If you're interested in Earasaids, check out the link to our website down below. Thank you.